my colleague from California, Representative Barragán, who is co-sponsored the resolution I spoke of earlier for the Latina Equal Pay Day. Representative Barragán, well, I will give some time while we were cleaning the... because we care for each other. That's why we look after each other. Thank you very much, Representative Presley.
Well, I thank the gentlelady for yielding. I join my colleagues today in calling for Congress to pass President Biden's entire Build Back Better agenda. This is a plan that takes on the climate crisis and fights for environmental justice at a time when we have seen record heat waves, wildfires, and drought in California and across the country. It invests in things like the climate-smart ports to invest in zero-emissions technology that will reduce toxic air pollution in neighborhoods near our ports, like the communities of color that surround the Port of Los Angeles in my congressional district. The Build Back Better agenda, we know, will also invest in things like the construction of more than 2 million affordable homes to address the rising housing costs that have hit Los Angeles so hard and across the country, with more than 41,000 suffering from homelessness. It's going to do things like lowering health insurance costs, invest in higher education to lower tuition for students at minority-serving institutions. It's going to cut taxes for children with families by extending the child tax credit and cutting poverty. How do we not invest in that? But today I want to focus more on climate, because this is a crisis, and this is a threat that is happening as we speak. It is urgent. It is urgent that we act boldly to respond to the threat of climate change, and the climate investments in the Build Back Better Act are critical to maintain, not cut. For example, there are two investments in the bill I have led on that are important for climate and environmental justice. Climate smart ports. This includes a critical $3.5 billion investment to reduce air pollution at ports by providing grants and rebates for the purchase and installation of zero emissions technology. Nearly 40% of Americans live within 3 miles of a port and will benefit from these investments in clean air. In my district, the Port of Los Angeles is a major economic engine, but it's also a major source of pollution. We have some of the worst air quality in the country, and it disproportionately impacts communities of color in South Los Angeles. For decades, my constituents have advocated for zero-emission solutions. This $3.5 billion ports investment in the Build Back Better Act will deliver. It's a long overdue investment in environmental justice, in climate action, in jobs. And so I want to urge us to fight to keep these long overdue investments in clean air for our port communities. And environmental justice and climate justice grants, that's also in the Build Back Better agenda. There's $5 billion investment in environmental and climate justice grants, by far the largest ever amount that we have invested in this. Now, with this investment, we will empower environmental justice communities to lead projects that reduce pollution and bring climate justice solutions to communities hit first and worst by the climate crisis. This will mean climate resilient solutions such as clean energy microgrids to keep the power on during extreme weather events like heat waves and hurricanes. It means the community solar projects that create local jobs and save money on electricity bills, like the recent solar project in my district on the Wilmington Senior Center. It means green infrastructure to prevent flooding and to protect communities from extreme heat. These long overdue investments will give environmental justice communities the resources to fight for a safe climate and clean environment. And of course, there's other investments such as in-home care that will help provide care for our older Americans and those with disabilities so they could stay in their homes and get the care that they need. It will provide for things like paid family and medical leave. Imagine you're a nurse at a hospital, you help deliver babies, and all of a sudden you get cancer and you have no paid leave. How are you to go home and fight cancer? And so that you can focus on that cancer fight instead of worrying about how you're going to pay the bills. That very thing happened to my sister just last November. Delivers babies at a military hospital, a federal worker. You would think these are people we take care of. But this is happening across the country day in and day out. People have to go ask their colleagues and their coworkers to donate their leave and their time, and that's wrong. We need to invest in these, and we have to fight to keep these priorities in the Build Back Better agenda. And it's time that these investments should be paid for by ensuring the wealthy and the corporations finally pay their fair share of taxes. Now is the time to make these once-in-a-generation investments in problems that have long been neglected. Now is the time to stand strong and deliver the promises we made to the American people. Let's stand up for the people and the planet. Let's meet the moment and pass the entire Build Back Better agenda. And with that, I want to thank you for leading this effort and thank the Progressive Caucus for being at the forefront of making sure that we are fighting for the people. I yield back.
Thank you very much, Representative. Thank you for the courage you have raised.